I would like to introduce the resource person, Dr. Nada Ratkovic, Assistant Professor, Faculty of Economics, Business and Tourism, Split University, Split, Croatia, Board Member, IIU, and Country Director of IIU, Croatia. Over to Dr. Nada Ratkovic.
Greetings from Croatia. I'm really honored to be here today. I'm thankful to the organizer, to Dr. Salih, for this great opportunity. So now I will share my screen.
Sure, ma'am.
Is my presentation visible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's visible.
Okay, thank you. So today my topic is the literature review in social sciences. Uh, here is the invitation, and I will repeat again. I'm honored to be today on this international conference on language, literature, and social sciences. Coming from Croatia, professor on the University of Split, Faculty of Economics, Business and Tourism, also a professor in a Harvard school and working for International Internship University. Very active here on the global level. I do research. My topic today is very. I'm also in the field of technology, but I choose for the social science. Why for the social science? Because uh, maybe sometimes we know that we have so many different methods, so many different kinds of research what we are doing. So research is really important. I can say from high school till university, and for me, one of the best. For me, one of the best education methods. So what is research and what is regarding. I always want this definition for me from American sociology is the best. We need always to describe, explain, predict. Yes, if we go from the Bloom's taxonomy from the beginning, we know that we have the active verbs, and first thing is remembering. Then if we remember, we can understand, and then is going to analyze. So from the high, from the low to the high, but very important, how to describe, how to explain, how to predict, and how to control our phenomena. This paper before me was really great, and it was if we make analyze or a review, are really our great scientists make this paper before. So why literature review? What is the literature review? So let's see today the purpose of the literature review. What types do we have? How can we start making a literature review? Organization is necessary in all things. So here very important, we need to make notice. We need to make notice always before. We need to write our literature review, and we need to give a conclusion. We know that so many papers today are going through the review process by the reviewer, and some are accepted, some are rejected, and that is normal. That is normal, and that is the way how to learn to write research. So what is a literature review? We are going from these sources. We have so many sources, we have so many definitions, and if we look from the books, articles, theses, we need to have the research question for our thesis, for the summary, for each one. But I can say this is a review. We know that today we have so many researchers and so many. I can say that in the time of pandemic, the process was really very slowly. And if we look at the statistics, the numbers are not good. So now all are trying to make make more. But if we talk about the literature review, we can say that is a summary. That is a summary of some previous research on that topic, because topics are not new, but our invention ideas need to be new. And we if especially if we are making some new models today in the technology, at the internet of things, or anywhere, it we need first to contact literature. We need to first to see what other authors are making. So we need to make this enumerate, describe, summarize, evaluate, and clarify. What is social science? So any as I write, any branch of academic study or science are dealing by the human behavior. Human behavior is very important if we look for the economic, social development, and from all the aspects. And in social science, we have so many sciences, and here the most important are anthropology, economics, politics, psychology, and the other sciences. So they are making the development of the operations. Here we can see from this source from the Global Institute how it is divided, and how it is going. We see here education. Education, we need always to have access and complete education. Today also these conferences are, I can say, for the education, for the lifelong learning, for our creativity, for our innovation, and especially at the students, we want to develop the critical thinking if we are talking about the hard and soft skills today in the 21st century. Empowerment is also very necessary if we talk about economic empowerment, not only in the finance, it can be in the agriculture, it can be in the medicine, everywhere. So what about the equality and inclusion, health and hunger, informations, infrastructure, public and social sector, security and justice? So here is this divided, and we see especially need to take care today about the environment. If we want to write a literature review, we all know that that is very mysterious. So I write one review, my colleague reviewer makes another. So there are so many mysteries in this. So we try to give us our best. So we know the questions are very important. So we see here, first we need to have the introduction. What kind of introduction? What is the purpose? What is the problem? How is it significant or not significant? And what about the methods? What about the body? What about the conclusion? If any of this part is not made corrected, that is not good. So always we need a brief guide for making the design of the work and making the process of writing and explaining that. So what literature review have? Introduction, we need to have a brief sign like science, and then the conclusion. So I will go slowly through each one of this part today, but it is really a mysterious part of the writing. So review needs to provide always a great first a topic, and we are talking about the basic components. Planning, like in all other things what we are doing, it is very necessary. The plan is half of our work. So if we talk about the literature review, we can say that we are collecting the publications, and that is the most significant and relevant thing if we want to accord to the topic, and if we want to talk about that topic. So we need to have the basic components. We need to have the basic components of our review. And first, as I write, it is a description of the publication, then a summary. What are the main points? Which main points do we put? Discussion. It is always good to make a discussion with a colleague, because when you are starting, when it is good to make comments, because today uh, you can think that what you are doing is the best, but you also need an opinion of an expert of a science with more experience who can help you, because maybe you are not on the good way. But I always like to uh, uh, my professor suggests me, Nada, if you are doing a quantitative research, first make a blood test. What it mean, a blood test? It means make descriptive statistics, see the correlation, is the correlation between the variables. If you see that it is not correlated, maybe you need to choose something else if you want to accept your hypothesis. But that is but not accepting also gives a great conclusion. So that evaluation and that discussion is really important from the other side. How can we design it? How can we design it? So we know that we are contacting the literature, we are looking and trying to find all the past researches which are very closely to the topic you are doing. So if you want to understand the topic, you need to make this indication for the importance. And if we're talking about the scholars, you want to show them how are they interested. And there are so many questions. Are the questions you are studying helping them? And how to annotate this, because the literature review and annotated bibliography, that is not the same term. Literature review is always designed to demonstrate your familiarity with your past research, but annotated bibliography are organized by presenting a single paragraph, and it is always being reviewed like some kind of bibliography. And literature review is written in a continuous style. It needs to have a continuous style, which is always giving and property between your idea, your paragraphs, your bodies, and your things, what you are doing. So this it is necessary that the review should not be confused with the annotated bibliography. So that is a difference, as I said, a list of your references with a summary of the content and relationship to your research question. A literature review is an overview, always is an overview of the topic you are trying to explain, an explanation, and how are they differing each from other. So what is the purpose and why is literature review very important? If we talk about the social science paper, we want to provide an overview of all sources we are exploring with our topic. Literature review will enable us, scientists, academicians, researchers, to discover what we want to discover. Like example, today so many inventions. We want to understand that. We want to understand the relationship between the contribution. So, what today has the biggest contribution, and how researcher is participating in that, and how can we make that contribution? For like example, today, so maybe each one day we get invitation to join some journals to write for some book for the book and etc. to other the topics. We want to provide always uh, a good review, a good review of writing. We need to take care about the ethics and we need to be very, very professional, because think about that when you write your article and your article comes to the reviewer. What if he don't make it good? So always do the best what you can do and take care about that. Uh, Be critical. Be critical because mistakes will help a writer. Will help a writer, and to each one wants to have an article cited in the Scopus, in the web of page. So try to give your best, and maybe for 1 2 year someone will recognize that. So making a literature review, and a literature review always is giving that position in the field, in the field where you are working, will give a good look, a comprehensive look in everything what you do in the paper, or you making a doctor dissertation, some thesis. And in short, it can be a good, for a reader, it needs to be a good reviewer. So you need to take the sources in that context and understand all the issues. If you want to learn about research, so what is literature review and what is not a literature review? If we want to learn about research on the topic and answer some questions, we need to learn how a body of research is evolved. We have a body. We need to display our understanding. We need to identify the importance of the work. Is it relevant? What about the points? What about the consensus, points of agreement, disagreement, controversy? Is it controversial? And can you, and you need, not can you, you need to identify the areas for the further research. It needs to have a contribution. And when we finish, we need to think about that work, that research needs to be continuous. So we need to provide always some motivation, and as it is called, special the narrow focus. Characteristics of an effective literature review: outlining important research trends. Yes, it is always more interesting if you are following the research trends. If you are working on that, it is like we need to make, like in economic, a SWOT analysis. We need to see our strengths, weaknesses, opportunity, threats, because everything has threats. So think about that, even in your study, even in your work, what you are doing. Um, and you need to make it for the current or for the future research project. And what is the potential? What is the potential in that knowledge, and did it give a gap for the knowledge? So let's see the main points of the literature review. We have first need to have the content, which will cover existing research, theories, and evidence. Second, we need to have our own critical evaluation and discussion of the content. So we can use it, like from some parts, from some dissertations, from some research projects, or from the essays. We always have uh, three parts of a literature review. We can say that are maybe the main parts. So introduction or background section, information section. What is in the body? In the body, we are making a review, and we are discussing about the sources, and finally we need to have a conclusion and recommendation section to the end of the paper. uh it is not good. I will repeat, be very professional, and what you think, you need to give your recommendations for the review. What are the elements of the literature review? Background, introduction. What is background and introduction? Important. I will repeat it more time because this is really important. You need to give an overview of your research topic, what is prompted. So methods, we need to have the methods, and we need to have discussion about the bodies. We know which methods we will use. What will they describe? They will describe each one step what we made, our evaluation and our materials, uh, what the body needs to contain, also the synthesis of the materials what we are using. So what a literature review is and is not. Uh, an overview of research what you're giving and so many answers that are related to the research, we can say. Organize literature, evaluates literature, so you see if it is less or equal to the higher order critical thinking. Then, this is very important, higher order critical thinking. That is why I start and say the Bloom's taxonomy. The Bloom's taxonomy. Then, identifying all the patterns and trends in the literature. How to identify it and how to. I said we need to be step by step because today what we learn or what we read tomorrow is old. Then we need to synthesize the literature. Again, is it less or is it equal to the higher order critical thinking? What we know and what we do not know about a given topic. Are we experts in that field? How can we make a literature review if we are not experts and if it is not our field? We can read it, we can make it, but are we sure that we make it on the correct way? So think always because this is a value. This is a big value. Everything what a science researcher write, it is a value. So we need here take a intellectual context for the original research. We need to have motivation for the original research. You need to make a structure of review by the objectives and continually always refer back to the thesis or research questions. And not necessarily exhaustive. What it means, up to date and include all the work on the topic. Then we have a laundry list which is written on the topic. Organization are guided and the lacks of the organization can be guided by the thesis or research questions, correct questions. It can be lacks of synthesis of the literature. That can be a problem. A lack of critical evaluation of literature and annotated bibliography and a literature or book review. So let's think about this. Is it or not? What are the types of the literature reviews? These are the types: traditional or narrative, systematic, scoping reviews, and annotated bibliography. But what are the types in the social science? We have the types of literature reviews in the social science. So, first is literature, typical primary sources, scholarly works. Then, it can be a chapter in a thesis or dissertation. Then, can be explicit section in a grant of the proposal, research report, review article. Like example, article in Journal of Economic Literature and Journal of Economic Perspective. See here, this is for the field of economics. Then, how do I create a literature review? Uh, we the length and the depth of your literature always depend about the length of your project. If we are writing 10-page paper, we need to have 5 to 6 sources to review. Because if we want our argument to be if we want it to be established as well and argument as well, then we cannot and we don't need to put hard equation for what we are doing. Judgment is very important and consult in structure about the expectations. So this is if we are writing a 10-page argument paper, we need to have at least 5 to 6 sources to review. The steps of literature review process, there are 5 case steps when we are writing a literature review. Search for relevant literature. Evaluate sources. Identify themes, debates, and gaps. Outline the structure and write your literature review. Search for relevant literature. This is especially important if we are talking about the qualitative researches. When we have numbers, it is different when we are making a quantitative. It is different than here in the social science. So for if more literature that we contact, this the research will be more qualitative. Write a literature review. We really need to know how to write a literature review. Uh, like academicians, we want to write. We have different and difficult skills for that. I will say each one of us need to recognize, but I'm sure that we have our own way of writing, like journalists, like others who has the skills. So skills very important, very important. We need to take care about the 5 C's in the literature review. What are the 5 C's in the literature review? Uh, that is for the good academic writing: clarity, cogency, conventionality, completeness, and concision. Here, I find from the literature, like example for clarity. Here is an example of Jana Levin. Ambitious is a very interesting in writing. It's not very interesting in science. That is if we talk about the clarity. What it means for the cogency here. Logic is the beginning of wisdom, not the end. See, our logic is not the end. It is the beginning about this if we talk about the cogency. Conventionality. Writing without a structure is like playing tennis with the net down. So think about this. How can we write without a structure? That means conventionality. Completeness. Completeness is our duty is always to believe that for which we have sufficient evidence and to suspend our judgment when we have not. That is our duty. And concision, our great Shakespeare said, brevity is the soul of the wit. So, clarity, cogency, conventionality, completeness, and concision are the 5 C's of good academic writing, and that are focused on the five characteristics of the good writing. So how do you write a literature review for a social science? A critical summary of relevant and selective literature on the topic. Then, situate and focus your research in the context. Use credible and most relevant sources. Write in clear language. You don't need to use some terms you don't understand. It needs to be a clear language. As I can say that someone who don't know a lot about that can understand what is the main point and what is the purpose of the research or the article. A piece of research on its own and add value to existing knowledge on the topic. Yes, you are the person and you need to add the value. This is from the sources, and I want to say we have literature search databases, and this is really important. If we want, according to the subject areas, always read paper from highest to lowest quality. Use literature review summary template to summarize what you read, and then draw up a literature matrix. So these are the subject databases you see for the medical, for the engineering, and for the social science, the databases. And we need to, just a moment. I cannot move this. Okay. So we need to always read papers from highest to the lowest quality. Uh, Conclusion, it means about a conclusion at the end of that. That is a literature review, always is overview or research on the given topic. A well-written literature review, it means it is great, it is organized, it organized the literature, it evaluate the literature, it identify the trends in the literature and synthesizes the literature. That is the conclusion. When whole we summarize it at the end, our whole literature review and the overview of the research. What are the resources for writing in economics? This is an example. This is an example for, like, here, a guide to understand and carry out economic research. These are the resources for writing in economics, the student's guide to writing. So this is kind of the resource for writing the article. But let's see how first step is starting a literature review. That is that is the first necessary step. We are selecting a topic. We are formulating our research questions. Then, the like example, auction theory, research on single unit auctions. In electricity, empirical research like auctions at the USA. So, select a topic and formulate a few well-defined research questions. If that you don't make, you didn't start correctly. Then, early back and forth. What it means? Select a topic and formulate a few well-defined research questions. Then, go and make a brainstorm or brain writing. Because that is necessary. You need to brainstorm a list of the search terms. Are they related to the topic? Then, keyword searches, text, bibliography, reviewing the reference sections, and briefly review the sources you use, what you learn to refine your topic and research questions. So again, select a topic and formulate a few well-defined research questions. And then keywords. What about these keywords? We need brainstorming through the article and see are they the main terms. Working backwards, begin with a collection of recent research on a given topic. What are the other authors saying? What about the text introduction? What are the literature review and the reference section? So we need to identify the core literature. What authors are keeping to cite? Are they keeping citing? What works we need to identify? What kind of work? So search the preceding literature. Then is going the preliminary checklist. You need to have a checklist. Have I formulated a topic and well-defined set of research questions? Have I discussed my topic and research questions with a library staff member or somebody who is searching the sources? Have I carried out some early searching to learn about the topic and how to help the narrow to my topic? Is it sharpening by the question? Have I talked to a faculty member about my topic, my research questions, and the results of my early searching? That is what I say. We need to talk, we need to communicate, we need to collaborate. And that is because the other's opinion is very important. Do I identify the core research on the topic and other classic works? That is about the first part. The second part is organizing before writing a literature review. We need to make a organ. All first and foremost, what it means. We need to filter and set the sources, review abstracts, introduction, conclusions. Then we need to determine the scope of the literature review. What it means? It means did we and will we cover all or not cover all? Then make a priority, a list of the priorities between the sources. So is it relevant or important warrant for the closer readings, and are they classic for the other studies? Take questions to answer in your reading and note taking. What is the search topic? Again, research questions again, methodology and central results. That is a summary. That is a part summary. Then, how is the search related to my topic? Thesis, research questions. Does it support the contradict my thesis? That is a synthesis and organization. So first summary, synthesis and organization, then is going evaluation. What it means. What are the strengths and weaknesses of the research in the source? Are they biases or flaws? How important is this source? Is it important for us? Then, key questions to answer in your reading and note taking. How is the source related to other research on the same topic? Does it employ a different methodology? Does it pertain to a different population, region, time, and anything? Does it work with a different data set? This is a synthesis and organization. Let's repeat. Summary, synthesis and organization, evaluation. Then we have synthesis and organization. What are the points of agreement or disagreement between the source and other research on the same topic? This is synthesis. After this, we are getting a picture. I can say a big picture. A sense for that big picture. So, what are the trends and themes in the literature? What are the points of the consensus? What are the points of controversy? Which debates are going? Which does my research weigh in? These are the things about the trends, themes in the literature. Where are the areas on which there is ample research? What are the areas? Which studies offer support for my thesis? What studies contradict my thesis? And where does my research fit into the larger literature on the topic? This question, where does my research fit into the larger literature on the topic? So be always very critical. Be always very critical. Think, because it is not easy to make it. It needs a lot of efforts, a lot of knowledge, but we are learning each 1 minute. Then again, a checklist for the notes on the source. We need to have that citation information. What is the discipline? What are the credentials? What is the topic? What are the research questions? What is the methodology employed? Theoretical framework, empirical framework. What are the study's main results? What are the answers to the research question? What are the strengths and limitations of the study? And how is the study related to other research on the same topic? This checklist for your notes on each one source. For each one, you need to make a checklist. After that is coming writing a literature review. What are the elements of the introduction? So it is a statement of thesis and research questions, or statement of thesis or research questions. Then motivation for and importance of the research. Statement of scope of literature review. Note your selection criteria for the review. You need to note your criteria selection and then how to hint and organize the literature of your discussion. These are the elements of the introduction when you are writing a literature review. Statement of the thesis, motivation and importance, statement of the scope of the literature review, and organization of the literature. Then we have the principles, methodology. What is the potential organizing principle for the methodology? We have theoretical perspective and empirical framework. We can have studies that agree with one another, studies that will disagree with one another. Uh, Extent of support for a thesis. Regional focus. What it means, regional focus? Focus regional. Data range, the sample, chronological and type. Organize studies according to the common denominators. So, potential organizing principles. We need to take care about that. So, must for writing. What we need to write. Linkage 1, linkage 2. Continually link your discussion of the literature back to your thesis and research questions. Then, linkage 2. Link studies to one another. Stress relatedness of research on your topic. And the third, very important, prioritize classics. You need to always identify the classic studies and discuss them accordingly with all the details with an eye for their influence. So discussing and identifying. Must for your writing. Evaluate gaps. What it means, evaluate and gaps. We need to identify the all shortcomings of the particle studies and the body of research be then we need to identify areas for the further research and where can research
ਮੰਨ ਲਓ ਜੱਟ ਬੂਟ ਆ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਕੋਲ 10-10 ਵੀ ਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਖੇਤ ਵੇਚ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਦੋ
So where can research on your topic go from here? What are the mechanics of the writing? We need audience, scholarly but avoid jargon. Wants to know about literature, wants to know what you have to say about the literature, wants to know where your research fits. Short paragraphs and subheadings can be always helping to clarify the structure of our review. Use direct quotations, paraphrase studies, prioritize studies in the literature, then signal importance by discussing relatively more important studies with more detail. Make signal importance by noting influence on subset studies. Also, we have rhetorical moves. Rhetorical moves, similarity, also again in addition to, additionally, similar to, similarly, alike, like, agree, agrees with. These are the rhetorical moves. Similarity, then disagreement, contradicts, counter, opposite, differs, debate, at odds, and other hand, disagree. These are the disagreement, contradicts. Evaluation, classic, pioneering, important, influential, lacks, fail, ignores, overlooks, limited, confined to the restrict. These are very important, these rhetorical moves for similarity, for disagreement, and for evaluation. Again, writing checklist. All for each one part, you need to write a checklist. So this I include a clear statement of my topic's importance, the research question I'm seeking to answer, and my thesis. Did I include a clear statement of the scope of my literature review and what criteria I used for including studies in it? Did I identify the classic works on my topic and give them priority in my discussion of the literature? Did I summarize the studies and link them to one another as well as back to my thesis and research questions? Did I critically evaluate the literature, identify the limitations and the areas where further research is needed? So think about this. This is a very important, writing a checklist. Did I include, so you see again the verbs, include, identify, summarize, critically. Take care about all of this. Take care about this when you are making a literature review. Then, literature review research. So, you see, I have put here some university. You can have an online writing lab at the Pursuit University, a sample EPA style. Then, an outline of tips writing a literature review. From University of Melbourne, an outline of trips and writing a literature review in economic sources for further reading. University of Toronto, again, an outline of questions to ask yourself when you write a literature review. What about the American University Library? You have here so many sites, types of the literature review, samples, checklists, sources. Santa Cruz Library. So you need to contact all this. So let's repeat once. In introduction, always remember. Introduce your topic, highlight your problem, identify the gap, keep it general, indicate the aim and scope of the review. So many tutors, but some don't want references, but confirm with your tutor. So you need to have the rules from your tutor. Then, body. Let's repeat for the body. List the factors in the order of the significance. Discuss the factors in the detail. Use evidence to support your discussion. Synthesis findings that are similar. Then compare findings that are not similar, dissimilar. Evaluate and interpret what this means. If you don't interpret, if we don't have interpretation, you don't have nothing. So the number of body paragraphs also are depending on the length of your literature review. Again, check with your tutor. And what are all the are the number of themes all covered. Body content. Appropriately paraphrase, summarize, and quote. Tell a logical, coherent, and cohesive story about the problem. Your voice should come across clearly. You should allocate a couple of paragraphs to discuss each of the factors. Remember, conclusion. Summarize the discussion undertaking in the body section. Identify areas for future research. Do not introduce any new points. So sources are always adapted from some kinds of the usual reference, like example, this book's the literature review, this book also the literature review, 6 steps to success, like this. Here we have this web page, Dr. Rasmaja Bin. This is from Dr. Rasmaja Bin. I really like all what she is posting, all what she has on her page, because my topic she summarized in, this is a conclusion, and we started from this, from the literature review, from the investigation, from the topic, from the problems. What about the credibility, significance, framework and hypothesis development, operationalization, data collection, data analysis? Each one step is here today. Visualization is very important. Infographics, mind maps, because whole you can summarize in that, and this can be for each one person a help during the process of literature review. So you see, identify the keywords, search the existing literature, evaluate search results, document your findings, and Every one of this, is it conceptual? What about? May it be conceptual, may it be empirical, may it be older? Is it qualitative or quantitative, or it is a more recent? What about the basis? Do we use secondary databases, data sources? Yes, we using secondary databases. And are they in electronic databases? We know that electronic databases can be library or online. How to document your findings? You are not taking, you are referencing, you have mind mapping, like this is mind mapping. You will create a bibliography, or is it a plagiarism? Is it a plagiarism? We have today so many tools to check plagiarism, to check everything. So that is also we check when we are making a review. We are checking, is it a plagiarism? Here we will say step-by-step approach to drafting your literature review. First, define your goal. If you are writing, create a thesis statement with a clear position. If you are evaluating scientific theories, develop a hypothesis to examine. If you are providing a self-contained review of writings on a topic, state your project's purpose. At the beginning of any paper, define your paper's purpose so that literature review can be anchored by a specific point of view. Do your research. Review a number of texts that needs to be closely to your topic and position and written by the scholars. Understand who the top voices in your academic field, and be sure to have it to include the most pertinent publications by those scholars. Like example, ground summary in relevance is you summarize each publication, provide a context for that publication. How does it relate? Establish it to the discussion. Develop review logically. Think about your literature review, think about development, think about the arguments. First things first, include references, works cited list. If you are writing a literature review, you need to mention the author names, publication years in that text. So you need to follow APA. Mostly we are following the APA, MLA, Chicago style, or as your course is requiring from you. Plan, research, get organized, and write. Thank you for your attention, and let's learn and grow together.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. I thank Professor Nada Rotkovic, Assistant Professor, Faculty of Economic Business and Tourism. Ma'am, really, it was very useful for the research students, the scholars, and you have given everything from the starting to the end in a gist. It is really very useful, even for the beginners. Yeah, we have got a lot of ideas of how to do a research, how to follow it, and something related to literature and all. Thank you very much, ma'am, for sparing your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm really honored and grateful, and greetings from Croatia.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Okay.